Welcome into the Blerd Wire. Today we're going to be talking about Andor, the first half of the season. I know the first half of the last half of the season, the next three episodes, just dropped, so I'll be covering that pretty soon. I'm a little late to the party when it comes to Andor, so I apologize for that. But I still wanted to at least talk about it and discuss it because obviously it's the most, by far, the most successful, the show that's resonated the most with Star Wars fans on Disney Plus. No other show has resonated with Star Wars fans the way Andor has, with fans and critics alike. You know, look at all of them. The only one that comes close is maybe The Mandalorian. That's my personal favorite, but most people prefer Andor to most Star Wars fans that I know really prefer Andor to The Mandalorian. But I think right now Star Wars the thing that Star Wars is experiencing, I won't necessarily call it a problem, but just the era that they're in, it's almost like a generational crisis. And what I mean by that is Star Wars has been around for a very long time, longer than a lot of people have been alive. So it's kind of created a different, there's different generations of Star Wars fans. So, like for me, I was born in 97 and my parents aren't the hugest sci-fi fans, right? So we ended up seeing Star Wars, the trilogy, the prequel trilogy was my first introduction to Star Wars. And then it wasn't until long after that that I saw 4, 5, and 6, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. So for most of my childhood growing up, I don't even think I saw 4, 5, and 6 until maybe I was like in my teens, like 13 or 14 or 15. For a long time, I didn't even know they existed because my parents just showed me 1, 2, and 3, the prequel trilogy, because they came out around the time that I was born. And so, and I saw those when I was a little kid, like 6 or 7. So those Star Wars are the only Star Wars that I know. And so, well, those are the ones that I knew. That's what I was raised on. And for a lot of kids, they were raised on 4, 5, and 6. Anyone that was pretty much most people that were born before 97, like even if you were born in the 90s, you probably saw 4, 5, and 6 because your parents were like, you're going to watch the greatest movie ever in Star Wars. So I say all that to say that it creates different generations and different things that people are going to relate to. Like for me, clones were always good. I loved clones. Clones were awesome. I didn't know they were the bad guys the whole time. So when I saw everybody shooting the clones in 4, 5, and 6, I was like, what's happening? And then I finally understood Order 66 and all that other stuff. But for me, clones and Jedi working together, that was the foundation of Star Wars. That's what I had loved about Star Wars. I loved clones and I loved the Jedi, and I thought it was awesome that they were working together. So watching Jedi kill them was a little unnerving for me. Like I'm pretty sure I watched the Clone Wars TV series on Cartoon Network before I saw 4, 5, and 6. It might have been around the same time or something like that, but that just goes to show you. And when the Star Wars Clone Wars TV show came out, I was 10. So again, that's what I was raised on. So a lot of and that doesn't mean like I don't like 4, 5, and 6 or things like that, but a lot of the rebellion era nostalgia doesn't really resonate with me for someone like me, for someone in that generation. But that rebellion era nostalgia does resonate for a lot of older Star Wars fans. Even people like I'm only 27 right now, but for a lot of people in their 40s, they love the show. And it's funny because I have a friend who's just turned 40 and has a little girl. And then I have a friend who's 28 and has no kids. And like my friend who's 28 is way more mature than I am. No, I think he just turned 30. But he was like, I found Andor so boring. And he also, I'm pretty sure, saw the prequels before he saw the the original trilogy. But then my other friend, he absolutely loves Andor and he thinks it's the perfect era for rebellion. And so I'm like, I'm still watching Andor, obviously, but I think it's one of those things that Disney is just going to have to pick and choose who its audience is going to, who a show is going to work for. Because, like, you have Star Wars fans, but not every era, not every Star Wars project is going to resonate with every single Star Wars fan. Because now you have a huge range of generations and a huge range of people within it that like certain things. So it's kind of difficult for Disney to, instead of trying to pinpoint something that's going to work for all Star Wars fans, I think Disney needs to really buckle down and say, like, okay, this is the niche of Star Wars fans that we're appealing to because there's too many for us to make something that appeals to everyone. So, like Andor, they are heavily appealing to the Rebel era, and that's because they know those fans are going to love it and it's going to work for them. And Skeleton Crew was designed to get younger kids interested in Star Wars. And it kind of worked. Like my said friend who really loved Andor, he showed his daughter Skeleton Crew and she loved it. And he was like, "Do you like Star Wars now?" And she was like, "Yes." And I'm pretty sure he started crying a little bit. It was beautiful. So like it's I think as we move forward, we'll see Star Wars kind of doing more like of these niche things, trying to capture and get the attention of trying to get more of the attention of the generation that they're appealing to. And you could tell because Andor, like I said, the last thing we just saw was Skeleton Crew. Andor is far more mature than Skeleton Crew is. Even within the first three episodes, they really like. I won't describe it on here, but like I don't know if I would have my child watch it just because of the things they were discussing, not because it was being shown, but because of what they were discussing. And it's hard to imagine that Skeleton Crew and Andor are rated the same thing. But Andor might be, I mean, Skeleton Crew might just be like PG, and Andor might be PG-13, or like TV PG or TVG, whatever it is, and then TV-14 for Andor. I'll have to check. But it definitely feels like those two programs of Star Wars, still Star Wars, live in completely different realms of appropriateness, right? And like what it's appealing to. So they definitely are creating a much more mature, but again, the reason why they're creating a much more mature, deep show is because they know that's going to appeal to those Rebel era fans who have been with Star Wars since, the early 80s, late 70s era. So to say all that to say, like, how do I actually feel about Andor? I think it's doing its job with appealing to that era. A lot of people are, it feels like I should have more to say and more to envelop. And I think a lot of the story hasn't really developed as much as we maybe thought it was going to. Um, I think they're setting up a lot of things for the second half, and so we're kind of starting to see those dominoes fall. But like I said, my favorite part about Andor season one was the prison breakout scene. That was the coolest part of the show. I kind of wish we just started there, honestly. And that was to me the best part of the show. How we ended up getting there, just it took a long time to get there. But at least I can say, like I said, in Andor, I'm not distracted constantly by plot holes or things that don't make sense, like happened to me in Obi-Wan. But it's weird because it's like there are some political thrillers that I really like, but it kind of feels like they're tiptoeing the balance between like building up the Rebel Alliance and a political thriller. Like I just saw Zero Day, right? And Zero Day in Paradise. Like there's tons of political thrillers out there that you could borrow from. But I think the only thing Andor doesn't have when it comes to the political thriller is the fast-paced breadth of a political thriller. Things tend to move very quickly, and in Andor, it feels like things are deliberately slowed down to try to make them hit a little bit harder. So I think that's kind of the difference between it and like a traditional political thriller and what kind of holds back and keeps it from really fitting in that genre. Because that actually sounds really cool for a Star Wars era because politics play a huge part in Star Wars. Like, let's not get it twisted. And so to go the route of like a zero day Quantico almost kind of political thriller, thing like that. All of that could work really well. They would need to like quicken the pace, right? Like quicken the pace of the way that things are happening. Have explosions and conspiracies happening, right? Um, and we're not really seeing that as much. Like I said, I think it's more about building up the Rebel Alliance and building up how they came together. And I guess if we were doing a season three, I would love to get more of like a, like you said, political thriller, espionage type of tale. But I think they're going to end it with Andor season two. So, um, go ahead and leave your thoughts below what you thought about Andor. Do you like it? Are you enjoying it? Do you think it deserves a season three? Do you think it should end after season two? Do you think Star Wars is cooked? Because lately, all the projects, like Sean Levy has a Ryan Gosling Starfighter project, and apparently a lot of big actors turned that down. Um, And like, I mean, I'm the kind of guy like I love Star Wars Unlimited. I don't think I'm ever gonna want Star Wars to go away, right? But it's hard because it feels like they're running out of ideas. For a universe that's this vast and this big, it does kind of feel like they are somewhat running out of ideas. Um, but to me, like, just turn to the video games because the Star Wars video games have created a whole vast world, and it's okay to adapt those. Like I said, if you can't give us something that makes sense and works, or you want to explore new timelines, just go there. But until we do, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So let me know what your thoughts are about Andor. Are you looking forward to the finale? And hopefully, I'll be able to get together. Maybe I'll try to bring someone else on and we'll talk about the finale, the end half of Andor. So let me know your thoughts. And again, thank you for joining the Blerd Wire.